entrusted to us. Bless this learning symposium, Lord, that it may be a space of inspiration, collaboration, and growth. Grant us wisdom as we reflect on our experiences and courage as we envision a better path forward. Help us to recognize the unique talents and perspective of everyone here and to learn from one another with humility and open mind. We pray for your guidance to elevate our understanding and creativity so we can better design strategies that truly impact the lives of our students, colleagues, and communities. May the conversations and connections made today lead to transformative actions that will uplift and empower all those we serve. As we reflect and redesign, remind us to place kindness, compassion, and purpose at the center of all we do. May we strive not only for excellence, but also for a world that reflects your love, justice, and peace. Bless our keynote speakers, our breakout session leaders, panelists, and all participants with energy, clarity of thought, a spirit of collaboration. Grant our participants the humility to approach this event as empty vessels, ready to listen, learn, and grow. We also lift up in gratitude those who work tirelessly behind the scenes, ensuring that the venues are well prepared, the atmosphere conducive to learning, and the technical equipment functioning seamlessly to enhance the learning experience. May this event not only inspire us today, but also ignite meaningful change and lasting impact in the days to come. We ask all this in your holy name. Amen. You may be seated now. Thank you. Okay, so a very good morning once again to Mrs. Daisy Yu, Chairperson of the Board of Management, Mr. Ang Hui Kun, our distinguished principal, Ms. Shireen Saleh, our Vice Principal, my colleagues from PJ Academy, both present here physically and virtually. This symposium is not just another professional development event. It's a celebration of teaching excellence, collaboration, and innovation. Today, we come together as educators, learners, and change makers united by a shared vision to continuously reflect on and redesign our approaches to education to create meaningful and lasting impact in our classroom and beyond. The theme of this symposium, Reflect and Redesign, holds deep significance. As educators, reflection is at the heart of what we do. It allows us to evaluate our practices, learn from our experiences, and strive for improvement. But reflection alone is not enough. It must lead to redesign, a deliberate and creative rethinking of how we teach, how we connect, and inspire. In this ever-changing world, our students rely on us to guide them not only to academic success, but also to the skills and values that will shape their futures. By embracing the power of reflection and redesign, we open the door to new possibilities, reimagine the way we engage our learners, and ensure that education remains relevant and transformative. So today's event, my dear colleagues, is designed to spark meaningful discussions, provide actionable insights, and ignite your passion for continuous improvement. So we have an exciting lineup of speakers, breakout sessions, and a thought-provoking panel discussion that I am confident will leave you inspired and empowered. So let us embark on this journey together on a very gloomy Saturday morning. Let's reflect, let us redesign, and let's elevate education to new heights in National High and PJ Academy. So once again, I would like to welcome everyone to Elevation Exchange at National High Jakarta School, and the theme is Reflect and Redesign. Okay, so I will be going over to you the itinerary for today. I know that the information was already given to you ahead of time, so that we have more reminders as we actually navigate the different activities for today. So I will be going Next over, slide, please. Okay, so we are now at the opening ceremony, and then right after the keynote address to be made, we will be going to our designated breakout session rooms. So I do hope that you remember where you signed up for. If not, you can always refer to the soft copy of the participants list, and then you will be prompted where to actually go. So there is a last minute change that was done, but it was also reflected in the document that we have given you. This is actually the session of Miss Normita. So Miss Normita used to be in level 3. So now those who will be participating in this particular session will proceed to the student center. Although it will be from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock because the first session is not going to happen. Okay, so right after the second run of our breakout session, so we want you again to come back here for our panel discussion. And we do hope that you will be engaged as you actually listen. And while we open, the forum later on for question and answer, it will be so limited. So please, we are very sorry if we don't have the luxury of time. But I do hope that the questions that will be facilitated by our host later on will be enough for you to actually gain insights from our panelists. Okay, and then right after this panel discussion, we'll proceed right away to the reflection. So in this reflection, you will be going through, a quick survey. And so we do hope that, you will give us more information so that, the next phase of the learning symposium will be much better for everyone. Okay, next slide, please. So quickly, this is our speakers. So S1 will be Mr. Simon. S2 will be Miss Emily. S3 will be Miss Eileen. And here are the different classrooms and title of the topic. Okay, so all of this, again, like what I've mentioned, have been shared with you. Next slide, please. For S4, we have Miss Normita. And for S5, we have Miss Sheena. So both speakers are coming from Singapore National Academy and Piaget Life Academy, our sister school. And then we have S6, our speaker number 6 is Mr. Joel. And the last 3 speakers, may we move to the next one, will be Dr. Ho, who will be hosting the Chinese department because, his topic is mainly for the Chinese department. And we have Mr. Joseph for our speaker number 8, and a combined speakers for our staff and admin support, Mr. Adi and Mr. Wisnu. Okay, so for our distinguished panelists, we have Mr. Simon once again gracing the occasion, and with him a wealth of experience and knowledge. And then, of course, our respected Vice Principal, Ms. Shirin. So please, later on, just if you have questions during the open forum, please be courageous enough to just, let the host know so that we can, hear and be engaged with the question. Okay, so it is time now for me to officially commence our program, and it's a great privilege to invite our principal, Mr. Ang Hui Kun, to deliver the keynote address for this learning symposium. Mr. Ang has been a dedicated and long-serving leader of National High Jakarta School, bringing with him a wealth of experience from his tenure as vice principal and principal in various MOE schools in Singapore. Today, Mr. Ang will draw from his rich personal and professional experiences as a school leader to explore the power of thoughtful reflection on school values, teaching practices, and learning outcomes. His insights will highlight how these reflections can drive meaningful transformation in education. So let us welcome warmly Mr. Ang to the stage to inspire and motivate us with his keynote message. Please join me in giving him a big round of applause.
Test. Okay, it's working. Sorry. Are you all comfortable? Can I request everyone to just occupy the first few rows so that, for publicity, we can take a picture and show that we are all together? So can I get the rest to come forward? Come on. Yes. It's supposed to be a very fun and casual event. So don't get so stressed out. All you look so stressed. Thank you. First two rows, come on. Mr. Josh. Come.
Kan joinan sister school gitu.
Boleh nggak?
Not only informative, but I hope an enriching experience for all of you. All right. So good morning, Mr. William, our chairman, board of governors of Piaget Academy, Mrs. Daisy Yu, our board of management chairperson, as well as member of board of governors, and both Mr. and Mrs. Mr. William Yu, congratulations for the arrival of your second grandchild. Our esteemed board members, if any of you have logged in, fellow school leaders, colleagues of NHJS, SNA, and PLA, welcome to the Learning Symposium. We have taken almost a 10-year break before we mount this symposium. It had been a dream of ours, Ms. Daisy and myself, to have our colleagues of Piaget schools come together to exchange ideas and to have an occasion for us to interact. So we hope this learning symposium can set the stage for greater interaction and exchange of ideas, cross-pollination of innovations, and implementation for the benefits of our students. It's truly an honor for me to be here with all of you today, even though we are connecting with some of you virtually. Interaction and exchange. I know how busy your schedules are, and I appreciate the time you have taken to join this important conversation today. Today's theme, Reflect and Redesign, is one that deeply resonates with me, both as an educator and as a school leader. Let me start with a story. Many years ago, when I was first appointed as a school principal to a secondary school in Singapore, I stood in an empty room in that school. The school's rifle range, to be exact. At that time, it was just walls and a floor, an unfinished space that with echoes that seemed louder than my thoughts. But as I stood there, I began to imagine what it could be. In my mind, it wasn't just a big empty space. It was alive with energy, with students exploring, experimenting, and learning in ways that textbooks alone would never provide. I saw it was a space where subjects like design and technology, computer studies, math, science, and languages could come together seamlessly, a hub of creativity and discovery. The empty room later became Chai Chi Secondary School's students' den, a safe place for students, managed by students for the use of students. And that moment, standing there in silence, was when I truly understood the power of reflection and the courage it takes to redesign. This story is not unique to me. Each of us, in our own way, has stood in that metaphorical empty room, a space where we have paused to reflect and reimagine what's possible. Today, I'd like to share how reflection has shaped my journey and how redesigning our spaces, practices, and approaches can transform education for a rapidly changing world. Reflection is where transformation begins. It's like looking in a mirror. Sometimes you're proud of what you see, and other times you notice what needs improvement. Like Mr. Simon today, when he was with me, we were like looking around, and Simon, you were busy wanting to look good for today's event. So I believe all of us look in the mirror not only as a form of reflection, but as an opportunity to see how we can be better. Reflection requires honesty and courage because it often pushes us to confront hard truths about what's not working. One of the most powerful reflections we had at our school came after running an outdoor milestone program, our inaugural Year 9's Habits of Mind milestone. So for those of you who went on that first milestone with me, it was a 19-day milestone program. In the first run of the HOM, we had planned an ambitious 19 days program, part of which was an expedition on Mount Salak. Students were tasked with navigating a forest trail, a seemingly simple activity. But it didn't go as planned. They got lost, they argued, and they struggled to work together. Watching from the sidelines, I initially felt frustrated, made worse with the downpour and students getting injured. But as I reflected, I realized something profound. These students were building resilience, learning how to communicate, and discovering leadership skills they didn't know they had. This process mirrored some of our core values: teamwork in overcoming challenges, adaptability in navigating the unknown, and grace in how they resolved conflicts. The reflection that followed helped us design more programs that intentionally build these skills. Reflection also played a key role when we planned the present GEMS room in NHJS. We asked ourselves, how do students learn best? How do we make science and math come alive? It wasn't just about creating a new space. It was about rethinking how learning happens. And that reflection guided every decision we made when we consulted with the designers, together with Pak Oki, and builders of the space. The values of excellence and passion were key drivers in ensuring this space become a space where students could push boundaries and develop a love of discovery. I'd like to share with you some practical reflection strategies. First, start small. Keep a journal where you note one success and one challenge each day. So do make use of the journal that we gave to you beginning of this academic year. Second, build reflection loops. Regularly ask students questions like, what's one thing I can do to support your learning? Third, collaborate with peers. Reflect together on lessons, sharing what worked and what didn't. And sometimes it's what didn't that help us to become better. Now, reflection in action. Let me share another example. Over the many years of having interdisciplinary project work timetabled in our curriculum, we wanted to challenge ourselves to make it more. In our review, we noticed a gap in collaborative problem-solving skills and active contribution of the team members. Reflecting on this, we adjusted our teaching approaches to include more group-based projects and peer evaluations. This small but deliberate change led to noticeable improvements in how students approach teamwork and critical thinking. It reinforced the value of integrity as students learned to hold themselves accountable within their groups. Reflection gives us clarity, but clarity alone isn't enough. Once we see what needs to change, the next step is to redesign. So let's explore what redesign looks like. Redesign can feel overwhelming for many of us, but it's not about starting from scratch. It's about asking, how can we make what we have better? It's about small, intentional steps that lead to meaningful change. So the key word here is meaningful change. Today, our new room is a vibrant space where students design, calculate, and write reports in one single project. It's interdisciplinary learning at its best. This room didn't just happen. It required reflection, collaboration, and a willingness to take risks. It's a testament to what redesign can achieve. Through it all, the values of passion and excellence remain central. We wanted to create a space that inspired students to achieve their best. And I thank the science teachers in primary division, especially Ms. Helene, for their valuable input to make this space a true learning space for all our students. Now, another example is our student lounge, which is yet to be launched. We didn't just create a space for relaxation. The intention was to design it to foster collaboration and student ownership. So I thank Mr. Leonidas for helming this project and getting the students' prefectorial board to take ownership of the student lounge. This student lounge allows the students to have a space of their own, and this space is not just a physical space, it's a cultural space. It reflects the values of teamwork and grace, as students will learn how to work together, support one another, and respect different perspectives, and take turns in using what is in the lounge itself. Now, beyond spaces, we also rethought how we should teach. For instance, we moved from traditional exam to more authentic assessments and learning vis-a-vis our Piaget V2 project. Other than the normal curriculum, which is the Cambridge or the Singapore curriculum, we incorporated engaging learning strategies, research, and use of technology into the learning from years 7 to 12. We strongly encourage student-initiated projects and programs. We challenge our students to pick up Project Brainchild to address their passion and grow themselves. This holistic approach allows students to demonstrate not just knowledge, but creativity and critical thinking. By fostering adaptability in learning styles and integrity in academic work, as well as work outside of academics, we are preparing students for the complexity of the real world. I would like next to share with you some practical redesign tips which will help us to educate and not just teach. First, start small. Rearrange your classroom to encourage collaboration. As we walk through our classroom, you notice at the lower level in the primary, there's a lot of collaborative format of sitting, but as you progress through the ages, they become more and more exam-oriented. They become more independent and individual. So do design your space to suit the style and the purpose of the lesson. Second, be iterative. Test a new idea, gather feedback, and refine it. So that becomes a loop. So every time you want to implement an idea, you have to put it to test. You have to study what comes out of the test, what works, what doesn't work, and improve on it so that there's this process of continuous improvement. And third, collaborate. So you should involve students and colleagues in redesigning lessons or spaces. What we have in our school today is not a homeroom system where a teacher owns a room. So you have the prerogative of design and use of the room. We design and use as a team so that the teachers of the day can all use the space. So working your lessons together, planning for the day and not just for a lesson, will result in meaningful engagement of the student throughout that school day. And I assure you, by being consistent in how we approach engagement and learning, it will lead to greater student engagement and outcomes. Now, redesign in practice, the skillful educator. One redesign we implemented involved shifting from teacher-centered sessions to student-centered learning. Initially, it was challenging for both teachers and students to adapt. But through iterative changes, feedback sessions, and celebrating small successes, we now have a thriving model where students take greater ownership of their learning. And we also need to thank COVID for allowing this to happen. This model embodies the value of excellence and adaptability as students learn to navigate challenges and strive for continuous improvement. Redesign is how we bring our reflection to life. It's how we move from ideas to action and create lasting impact. And one thing worth noting was a story shared to me by a mother when I met her. I actually called Wilson Muliadi's mother to meet me because I think we all know Wilson. He has not been behaving too well. He has been very unkempt, untidy at times, looked like he has not washed himself for a long time. So I called the mom in and I asked her, is Wilson really enjoying school? And what surprised me was, in his own quiet way, he has done what I just shared with you about redesign and about his collaboration with his classmate. One of his classmates was unwell, and Wilson took it on himself to plan lessons to engage his friend after school online because his friend was hospitalized, and taught his friend mathematics because that was his strength. So how Wilson is learning is a whole process of redesign going on. He took a small step, engaging one person. He put in a process of engagement using technology, and he used reiteration where he tried to teach and give feedback when he's not teaching well and keep improving. So if we can see this in our students who have been with us, it just assured me that many of you had done wonders that you have not really realized. So I want to congratulate all of you. From this one example, it shows me and it's heartening to know that your impact on the student is greater than you ever know. The care that you show to them, that they are devolving to others, the kind of learning and creativity they do not learn from the thin air. It came from all of you who role model it knowingly or unknowingly. So in this symposium, I challenge all of you to pick up concrete strategies, know-how, and bring it back to your classroom. Now, as we look to the future, we know one thing for certain. The world is changing, and it's changing faster than ever. Technology, industries, and global challenges like climate change, US change of presidency, it demands that our students need to start thinking more critically, adapt more quickly, and collaborate more effectively. Our role as educator is more critical than ever. So here's my challenge to you. Take a moment to reflect on your own practice, whether you're a teacher, you're in admin, or you're in support services. Identify one area where you can make a change, and then redesign it. Start small, but start today. Because every small change adds up to something bigger. And it will be a brighter future for our students if all of us as a team, educators, admin, and support staff, and even security, coming together to support their learning journey. As John Dewey once said, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. Let's not rob them of tomorrow. Let's prepare them for it together. Thank you for your passion, your dedication, and your willingness to reflect and redesign. Together, we can create the future we want to see in education and realize our Piaget vision of creating a better world through education. Last but not least, my heartiest congratulations to Mr. Dexter and the other organizers for today's symposium, and hope everyone present and virtually will be engaged in a meaningful learning experience and exchange. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Sorry. Thank you again, Mr. Ang, for a truly inspirational and thought-provoking keynote address. Your insights on the importance of thoughtful reflection and how it can lead to meaningful transformation have set the perfect tone for our symposium. Your experiences and wisdom as a school leader has given us valuable perspectives to reflect on our own practices and values as educators. We deeply appreciate the time and effort you've dedicated to sharing these ideas with us today. Your words have not only motivated us, but have also reminded us of the profound impact we can make through collaboration, continuous improvement, and a commitment to excellence. On behalf of everyone here today and those online, thank you once again, Mr. Ang, for inspiring us as we embark on this journey of reflection and redesign. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving Mr. Ang another round of applause. Now, as we move into our breakout sessions, I encourage everyone to approach the various sessions with open-mindedness, enthusiasm, and curiosity, and with the goal of reflection and action. This is a wonderful opportunity to learn from our amazing speakers, engage in meaningful discussions, and gain new perspectives. Make the most of your chosen sessions by actively participating and reflecting on how these ideas can be shared and applied in your own teaching practices, or even in how you take care of the school, because we do have talks for our admin staff as well. Let us bring back actionable takeaways that can elevate not only our own effectiveness and inspire growth in our own school community. Let's embrace the chance to learn, reflect, and redesign together. Enjoy your sessions, and let's just make this a truly memorable, impactful, and learning experience. Thank you very much.
So at this juncture, before we ask everyone to go to their breakout sessions, may I ask our documentation team to take our photo. So it holds a special meaning for our school community because this is basically the resurrection of our learning symposium after 10 years. So it is a relaunching again of this very important event. So may I ask everyone, Mr. Ang, how would you like it to be done? Is it okay? Can I ask everyone to join us on stage and then have Mr. Ang? Oh, sorry. Okay, sir, can you just take it from here, sir? And then can I just ask everyone so that it's easier for him to take the photo to just, go to the back there? Thank you.
Okay, look at the camera. One, two, three. Once more. One, two, three. Okay, take a good smile. One, two, three. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're just right on time. So you have 15 minutes to actually navigate level 3 if you don't know where the rooms are. Thank you so much and have a great learning. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Um, sorry, guys. Can I ask you to quickly sit down first? I think Mrs. Daisy, you will say something quickly. I'm very sorry. Thank you. Let's listen to Mrs. Daisy.
Hi, hi everyone. I'm sorry I cannot be there to join you. I want to thank Mr. Ang, Mr. Dexter, and Ms. Shireen and everyone for organizing this event, and also to thank Mr. Simon for gracing the occasion. It's truly an historical learning moment for Piaget, and have a great day and an enjoyable learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Daisy. So I think this is the time now to actually be engaged with our speakers. So I know our speakers have, truly prepared, their presentation so that, you have actionable, what they call this, practices that you can bring into your classrooms. So can you please go now? Thank you. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Daisy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I hope you learned something. So thank you so much. They already closed, so it's closing time and final discussion. All right, count. Okay. I thank God I'm done. Thank you guys for such a active day. Thank you so much. So I hope that you will have the courage to try it out, okay? And your feedback will also be helpful for me, so I could also improve. Let me know what other suggestions that you could give. It's just so challenging. The first group online is more active. This one is, it's hard when you're, yeah. But it's good, like, like, I guess, I hope, this is the kind of, make sure that you encourage.
Check, mic, 1, 2. Hello, hello, hello. 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 Check, mic, 1, 2. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's panel discussion, Elevating Teaching Excellence and Continuous Improvement. I'm Ryan Ricanalia, and joining me is my co-host, Ms. Martha Tandinoyo.
Hello, everyone. So we're thrilled to have you here. And today we're diving deep into the art of teaching, how to elevate it, sustain it, and continuously
Good morning,
improve.
everyone. Welcome
And
to
before we
today's
already
panel
have two
discussion,
breakout
Elevating Teaching
sessions, and
Excellence and
I'm
Continuous
sure that you guys had a lot of fun.
I'm Ryan
and
Ricanalia,
had
and
blast
joining me is
in
my
joining those
co-host,
two
Ms.
breakout
Martha
sessions.
Tandinoyo.
We hope that you
Hello, everyone.
get inspired and motivated from the sessions that you have attended today. But it doesn't stop there because we still have one last thing to do, one last agenda today. But we want to just take some time to appreciate all the speakers who have facilitated all the sessions, the morning session, the two sessions. We just want to appreciate you guys and thank you for coming here and sharing your valuable insights with us. All right, so in this panel discussion, right, Mr. Ryan, we will be having two wonderful panelists who, of course, bring a wealth of experience and insight as us being teachers first and also leaders is our additional roles.
Absolutely. Let's give a warm round of applause and welcome to our panelists, Mr. Simon Low and Ms. Shireen. Thank you all for being here. Let's welcome them on stage. So this is something not really that formal. They requested it to be a bit more conversational, and so I would like to do something unorthodox here. So let me ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves. Let's start with Mr. Simon.
Okay, I'm Simon. I have been working with
NH and SNA for a number of years, helping with the Piaget 12-year education journey. And now I run my own social enterprise in Singapore called Happiness Initiative that makes well-being skills and initiative accessible to the different groups of people. So that's what I do.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. Ms. Shireen, let's give Mr. Simon a big round of applause.
Thank you.
And we move on to Ms. Shireen.
Do I need to introduce myself?
Yes, please, Miss.
Okay, everyone, you've seen me before. I first joined National High in 2018, and then back to Singapore. I never came back because of COVID. And then recently, I just joined it again in 2023, 22-23. Yeah. So, but prior to that, I was a teacher in a school in Singapore, obviously a government school, and then moved on to vocational schools as well as giving trainings to teachers in Russia and in Singapore. Okay, so before we move on, actually, I want to invite two teachers because I'm Gen X, and I think.
X also, I think X, Y, Z, maybe
So,
Z.
yeah, so I think to have a good, representation of a balance of age as well as, teaching experience. And I would like to invite Mr. Joel, who has agreed just now, please don't run away, to come on stage. And then Miss Kunti also. I think she also has a wealth of experience teaching the national curriculum as well. So Ms. Kunti, can you please come up here? Because we want to make this as engaging and as, interactive as possible. Okay.
That's good. Let's give it up for both of them.
Mr. Joel and Ms. Kunti, thank you so much. Please join us here on stage.
And there are actually two seats available, but I think sofa is so much better, right? Mr. Joel, please, Ms. Kunti, please join us on the stage.
Hello.
We could have had a bigger sofa, right, Ryan?
Yes.
And, so that everybody feels comfortable. But let's use chairs, okay? That will work too. Sorry, please give us a minute to quickly set up. Mr. Joel, you prefer sofa or wooden chair? The wooden chair. Oh, it's already taken. That wooden chair over there. All right. Okay, so we're welcoming the additional guests to our panel this morning, all right, facing the audience. Thank you very much. So this is how it's going to go. We're just going to brief everybody how we're going to do this panel discussion. I know that this is supposed to be familiar for everybody. So we have several questions to ask all of you. And towards the conclusion of our discussion later, we will engage the audience to ask about 2 or 3 questions, depending on the time that we have. We don't want to go over time, right? And so we want to engage the audience, of course. So let's get started with the first question, Mr.
Yes,
Ryan.
I'll take the floor for the first question. This goes out to all of our panelists here. So what role does feedback, whether from students, peers, or administrators, play in your journey toward continuous improvement in teaching? And how do you incorporate this in your practice? So like feedback, both from your students and your colleagues, how do you incorporate that in your teaching career? And how do you use them in improving yourself as a teacher?
Anyone could answer first.
Maybe I just start off first. I think when I started teaching or when I was teaching, the students' feedback is the most important to me because primarily they are the individuals that I serve. Yeah, so it came to a point like, sometimes it was a difficult concept to teach, and I tried different ways as much as possible, and they still couldn't get it. So then I have to ask them like, okay, help me help you. What do you think I need to do in order for you to understand? Peer feedback is also significant I would say, because there are proven strategies that, they could be a senior teacher that have used it before and they gave me some insights. And I think that is also helpful to enhance my teaching methods. As an administrator now, I think it's more to align your teaching approaches to the school's, school goals. Yeah, so that's the bit about feedback for me. Yeah, feedback also helped to drive me to find out more about, okay, what's out there, what trainings or what workshops are available, and how can I use that to help my students. So that's what feedback was like for me, yeah, or even now. Yeah. So maybe Mr. Joel or Miss Kunti?
Anyone would like to add? Please. Go, Mr. Joel.
Sound check.
It's good, it's
Mr. Ryan, the first thing that came to my mind is the moment I went to Kuala Lumpur a few years ago. I went to this park and it says there was a signage that says work in progress. So I believe I am also that kind of teacher. I'm a work in progress. Even if I have been in the teaching profession for more than 10 years, I'm a work in progress. And feedback gives me that ability to better myself, to develop my skills more. They say, I suddenly remember this senior teacher of mine saying that senior teachers are source of wisdom and the younger ones are source of knowledge. So whenever I talk to Mr. Leo, to Miss Justin, to Ma'am Presi, to Miss Anna and the math teachers, I always get insights on how I could develop myself as a better teacher in the classroom and also the teachers around me. So feedback makes me better.
And I
Work in
think,
progress.
sorry, Mr. Joel, and I think I want to touch on that, Miss Martha. He mentioned about being a work in progress. Maybe Mr. Simon and Miss Kunti can touch base on this one. How do we prompt ourselves to take a step back and reassess our teaching practices? How do we know that we are a work in progress? Because that's a difficult thing to do. Like, we're so busy, we have our day-to-day activities, we have our lives to live outside of the school. How do we know when to take a step back and reassess that, yes, we are a work in progress and we need to reevaluate, that we need to do something to improve that?
Thank you very much for thank you for the feedback. Personally, for my experience, the feedback is actually something for me to learn, improve, and also grow. As a teacher, I like to receive the feedback from my superior, Bu Titi, Pak Rizky, and also for my team. Usually, we like to share like what types of learning strategies that we can to apply in for my students. In practically also in my class, usually after I teach them like one semester, I will ask the student to give their feedback for myself without any like anonymous. So basically, I want them feeling easy to be taught by me. So I want the class is practically what do you call? Suddenly, I've been blank. I'm so sorry. I want that the teaching learning between me and student is like there is no gap. That actually the feedback that they give to me, it can make them feeling enjoy my class also in practically. And talking about work in progress, how I can assess or how can I know that this is what do you call? Yeah, I'm working in progress. Sometimes when usually I call it as a me time. So that's me time is usually the something for me to think that this is the thing that I need to do or I need to work in to make it better in especially in my teaching experience. Thank you.
And receiving feedback is usually something challenging, whether we realize it or not, because our first natural response when we receive feedback is to defend ourselves, is to be defensive. So what would be your advice for each and every personality in this room? What would be the best response to receiving feedback?
I think Mr.
Especially
Simon.
for educators like
yeah, I
this.
think
Yes,
Mr. Simon.
exactly.
Can.
Okay, my thanks. This topic on feedback is something very close to my heart because I run a lot of workshops on feedback, right? And I've also been researching and trying to understand about how feedback is being done. I share a framework for you how feedback is being done in Netflix. Okay, you all know that thing that's on your phone and on your TV, Netflix? Netflix have one of the scariest feedback culture. To the point that when they hire from top companies, maybe IBM, HP, some of the top technology company, right? The top executive, when they go to Netflix, they take some time to get used to the Netflix feedback culture. And you can read about it. There's this book on Netflix. One of I think is among one of the best business book of the year 2020, I think. The book is called No Rules, Rules. So in Netflix, they go by a culture whereby they minimize as many rules as possible. Minimize the rules. They want to hire top talent because top talent don't work well with rules. But they do get fired quite fast as well. Okay, and they just tell you that they give you a feedback and sometimes they let you go almost immediately. They pay for you. They pay for it. They will pay. They don't believe in an employees assistance program. That's not something that they believe in because for a lot of companies, the employee assistance program is that if you're not performing, they put you through 6 months or a year of trying to improve. But Netflix don't believe in that because once they realize that you're not improving, why waste 6 months to 1 year of the time? They pay you 6 months to 1 year of the salary and they ask you to leave immediately. And it goes back to, but they still need to give people the feedback, right? And they use a very simple framework called a 4A framework. As a giver of a feedback, you need to have 2 A's. The first A is you need to aim to assist. You need to assist people. When you give feedback, you must always give it the intention aim to assist. And the second A is very simple. Keep it actionable. Don't tell me that this slides is no good. Don't tell me that, oh, I could have done it better. Just give me an action that I should take. Keep your slides to 3 points. Keep your slide so that the colors are well balanced. Be on time before the meeting. Just summarize your presentation to 3 points. It's actionable. Okay? Aim to assist actionable as a giver of a feedback. As a receiver of a feedback, right, is 2A. You appreciate. When someone gives you a feedback, appreciate first. And the next A is you accept or you discard. It is within your power because if I'm hiring top talent, it's for you to discern what you need to accept and what you need to discard. That's the framework. And how do they do it? Okay, they do it using a live 360 format, which means that the team leader, together with all the team members, will sit down together and everyone will give each other feedback in front of everyone else. And the leader of the team will have to model first. So all my subordinates will give me feedback in front of everyone else. 3 things: what I should stop doing, what I should start doing, and what I should continue doing. Stop, start, continue. Okay, so that's the model that they do. So that's how they do it, right? A live 360. And the third thing that I want to just talk about this feedback is that, is it culturally applicable across different countries, right? So Netflix actually did a study on it. So on one extreme is giving negative feedback indirectly on one spectrum. On the other spectrum is giving negative feedback directly. So country which on the other spectrum here are our Southeast Asia countries. When we give negative feedback, we tend to want to give it indirectly. And on the way extreme is Japan. Okay, so when negative feedback are given, in that culture, people prefer to give it indirectly. On the other extreme, right, are the Germans, okay, and the Dutch. The Germans and the Dutch. So they are the one who give negative feedback directly. They don't beat around the bush. They will just tell you straight in your face. Okay, those who have worked with the Germans before, you would understand how direct they could be. And there is always a cultural difference. And interestingly, this part of the world, when we want to pick negative, when we want to listen to feedback, I think we may not be so comfortable when feedbacks are given so directly. Okay, so what is a recommendation, right? My recommendation is this. I just read this online on LinkedIn. So there's this guy who was saying that there are 15 truths that your manager should have told you but have not and would not tell you. And one of the truths is about feedback. Okay, and he says that feedback is not a gift. Feedback is essential. And he ended up by saying this. You know what is the most important feedback for you? It's the feedback that you never get. Because people think you can't handle it. Right? So very, very interesting. So it is you know, he was writing this truth, right? And that feedback for us, I think, is your own personal comfort. It is really for yourself to really to manage it, because getting negative feedback is very uncomfortable, but we can actually develop our own confidence to receive negative feedback if we adopt the right mindset, because the negative feedback itself, as negative as it may be, you have two choices, either to accept it or to discard it. And more importantly, once you accept it, right, it helps you for your own personal growth. Because if we do not take all these negative feedback, our blind spot will always be our blind spot. It will always be our blind spot. That's my comments about feedback. Quite a fair bit of that comment there, but I love to hear, you know, what you think about feedback. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Simon, and other teachers as well. All right. We can't forget this, one of the most important cultures that we need to establish in school, which is to be able to collaborate and work together with our colleagues, with our peers. So collaboration among colleagues is often cited as key to also to excel our teaching. So in your own experience, teachers, how important is collaboration in your point of view? And what kind of strategies do you use to foster this collaborative environment, especially in a workplace for us as educators? Anyone can answer first. Audience, please also prepare your questions. So if you have questions, save it for later. You can ask that question later on. How can, what kind of strategies or best practices can you share for us to be able to foster that collaborative environment in our school? Miss Shireen, please go. Oh, Miss Shireen, or okay, go ahead. Right.
Okay, I'm just going to share what we did in one of my former schools. We embraced the lesson study. It's actually a collaborative effort in making a lesson plan. It's not like a competition who can create the best lesson plan, but we all work together in order to tackle a difficult concept or unit. The main thing is about student engagement, right? And we put student needs above all. We suspend judgment against each other. Is because we just want to make sure that, okay, what are the questions that we're going to put in, activities and all that, is to ensure that students understand and the topic altogether. So that really helped, because we saw the benefit of that, where when teachers collaborate, it feels like there is this distribution of responsibility in delivering the curriculum. It's not so much on that one person's shoulder. You know, that exchange of ideas really helped to enrich our thoughts and come out with, you know, probable solutions like, okay, maybe we should approach it this way and that way. So, and it's not just a one-time thing. We had to reiterate, we see what was not working and all that, and try to improve it again. So I think collaboration is helpful, and yeah, it's definitely helpful. Having someone to talk to, it could be just your mentor or just your peer. It really helps to kind of like lessen the burdensome that you have. Yeah, so that's my thought about collaboration.
I agree to Miss Shireen. To Miss Shireen. Maybe what I could add is the idea that, I mentioned this to my department before, that my weakness is more of making assessment tools. So acknowledging my weakness allowed me to identify possibilities of improving myself. Weakness as your strength. Although again, it's still a work in progress, but I guess I am just blessed that the people around me at National High are very open. Very open in a sense that everyone is willing to help. Whenever you are at that moment of your life that you are weak, so you can go to them and they would help. So I think it's more of a factor, Miss, not more of a strategy. I am just blessed that the people around me are willing to help, share their knowledge and expertise whenever I am at moments of my weakness.
So if I may ask a follow-up question to Mr. Joel, how does that translate to classroom, the practicalities in the classroom? So did that collaborative work with your department translate well with your students when you actually applied the lesson plan or the assessment work? How did that pan out in the classroom?
It has a ripple effect from my end also, to have an open ears, an open heart and mind to the students who are having difficulties in the classroom as well. So it's like having this culture from the department and from the school, from the teachers, that they are willing to help their students or their co-teachers, allowed me to take that experience as well in the classroom. That if my kids are having challenges in the classroom, I would have that time to help my kids as well. So I think that's how it is reflected from my daily course of action in the classroom, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you. Yes, I think move on to the next question for Mr. Simon and Ms. Kunthi. So sorry.
Yeah, I just want to add like a point about collaboration, right? My take on collaboration is from a book that I read, and I think it's very implementable for us, right? How could we collaborate better, right? That's the question. This book is called Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. How many of you have read this book before or come across this book? I think it's Merrily Adams, Change Your Question, Change Your Life. Wonderful book, very easy read, right? How do we collaborate better? And it's the questions that we asked. And there are two, the broad idea is that there are two framing that we have. We could have a judger mindset. We are judging people. Why did it fail? What's wrong with you? Or we could have a learner's mindset. What can we learn about this to do this better the next time? What can we learn from this so that we could apply it to other instances? So the questions that we ask, right, determine how we collaborate. So maybe that's one recommendation that I could pick up. Reference that book, Change Your Question, Change Your Life, or you could ask ChatGPT. What are some constructive questions that I could ask, right, to better facilitate collaboration? Tons of questions and tons of responses, and you could also contextualize it to your context. Yeah.
Yes,
that's my take on it.
Thank you, Simon.
I just want to add on. I think at National High we have this white space, right, where departments actually come together to discuss a certain topic or some, challenges that you face. Now that is, to me, that's collaboration as well, right? So where you had the chance to actually surface an issue and how can we solve it, and having that platform helps to ensure that it's not something that a challenge that one person faced, but it can be shared with among the team members and see what their views are on that and come up with a solution. So I think we have that in National High, and I encourage department heads to actually leverage on that to encourage collaboration.
I would like to add on also the collaboration that we have in National High is not only for in the between department. I actually like during especially in bahasa department or many in science, math on, we have like another events that actually like Independence, Chinese New Year, that actually we did collaboration with any other department that actually they are supporting the event that make for the best for the students, the best outcome for the students.
Thank you so much, our panelists. I think the main point that they're sharing is that collaboration at National High comes in different forms, whether it's a white space, whether it's a sit-down meeting with your mentor, whether it's a seasoned teacher at National High, whether it's a coffee and tea with two members of your department, somebody at the counseling team. There are different forms of collaboration that's happening here in school. And it's important to note that it's been here since the school started many, many years ago. It's a long-term commitment. And it leads me to the next question.
And actually to your point, right, about collaboration within National High, there's also collaboration between National High and SNA. Yeah. There are plenty of collaboration that is happening, at least from the Piaget 12-year education journey, right? A number of staff actually work together to collaboratively come up with a better experience for students. And I believe that in the academic space as well, you also do have your collaboration there. So we could see collaboration from three perspectives. One perspective is a strategy. What are strategies that we can use, right? Another perspective is the platform. And I think the third strategy is actually leadership and culture. How do we facilitate this collaborative, if we want to facilitate this collaborative initiative or at a leadership and a culture level? So I see it as these three, and within school and also across.
Within the PHA system, because it's part of the long-term commitment of building and improving the leadership and culture within the system, because teaching for all of us here is a long-term commitment. It's not just something that you plant today and you expect it to tomorrow. It's a long-term process, and which leads me to my next question, that how can teaching excellence in different forms, however you deem excellence to be, whether mentoring, whether teaching students, whether guiding them, can be sustained over the course of a long career? And what strategies do you use to avoid burnout? I think that's a difficult question to answer, so I'll give you a bit of time to think about your answer.
I picked up the first part of the question, right, about teaching excellence. So it goes back to the two core ideas that we talk about. I think in order for us to bring about teaching excellence, we need to facilitate an openness to feedback. Okay, so feedback is core, and we also need to facilitate an openness for collaboration. So it goes back to the original, how you start, so strategically start us off with feedback and collaboration, right? I think these two are important, you can call them strategies or important openness that we need to develop. Feedback and collaboration in order to bring about teaching excellence. Yeah, so that's my take on it.
Teaching excellence from my end, I think if there's an aha moment from the students, gitu. Ay, gitu like that. So if there's an aha moment from the students, if there's a clarity, oh, it's clear now. So I think I have done my part from my end. Burnout, oh my, burnout. Suddenly remember what happened this second session, Miss Marta. I was having the discussion during the breakout, Mr. And then one of the teachers said, Mr. Joel, you adjust your camera because it's showing your belly on the online. It's taking this one only. My burnout sometimes, my burnout, but it's not good, is more of eating. But I realize nowadays, if there's burnout, I just have to stop whatever I'm doing. And I have to remember that I also have my own life. So Saturday, Sunday, I'm trying not to work, but I have to finish. I learned this from Miss Wang. She said that you have to try to finish whatever you can finish until 4 p.m. and then enjoy your life after that. You still have life after. So eat, pray, love. Eat, pray, travel. Okay? And enjoy. Enjoy the...
Let's do that. I mean, speaking of burnout, we cannot miss the story shared by Mr. Simon this morning on the first session about having the teachers in this particular school having a workshop in term 3, where there is usually that is usually the peak of the teacher's frustration because it's near examination. So to avoid burnout also. And I think it needs the entire school effort. It should be the culture of the school to establish that care to make sure that everybody's well-being is taken care of. So what would be, sorry, you want to add on that?
Before you ask the last question, before we hand it over to the audience, I think the important thing here to note is that there's nothing wrong with admitting that we need help. We need an ear to listen to us, because it's not a sign of weakness, but it's more of a sign of strength and resilience, that we're strong enough to admit that we need help and that we have our limitations. So this goes out to every one of us, that, you know, when we need help, we're all here, and we can listen to each other, and that we do experience similar shades of problems and difficulties here at school or at home. It may not be the same stories, but they may be similar.
And since it's not one person's job to make sure that, you know, we want to avoid as best as possible to be burned out, what would be the steps that the schools can do to make sure that burnout doesn't happen so often in the teacher's life? So what would be to make sure that we have that environment, in our schools? Okay.
My work with different schools and corporations and organizations on burnout, right, I think it's difficult to give justice in just a panel discussion because it's quite multifaceted. But if I were to drill down to just one thing, right, one thing about burnout is at the individual level and also at a cultural level, to be cognizant that we need a space to disconnect. It's a space to disconnect. At the individual level, you need to find out what are the stressors that continue to stress you, and you need to make that concerted effort to disconnect from those stressors. At a cultural level, right, or at a school or systemic level, sometimes you have to have policies to bring in, to help to disconnect. And I bring back to this recent case in Singapore. Even our Minister of Education had to come on air to say that teachers are not expected to give mobile numbers to parents, and teachers are not expected to respond to parents after office hours. So he had to come on air to say and to set that this is a ministry policy, because a lot of times, with our mobile phone, teachers give mobile numbers to parents, and parents will text teachers, and sometimes teachers don't have the space to disconnect, and sometimes the parents ask questions like, oh, what must my child bring tomorrow? What book must my child bring? And these are trivial things that does limit the disconnection space of the teacher. It doesn't give teachers that space to rest well. So at a systemic level, sometimes we may need certain policies to help the teachers to disconnect from stressor. But more importantly, I see this also at the individual level. You need to know what are some of your stressors, and you need to make time to disconnect. Be it a yoga session after your day, be it putting your phone away, be it putting your once you reply all the emails, you can put that aside. These are your disconnect strategies that are important. You need to know what are some of my take about. I think if you ask me just that one strategy, find that one strategy that could help you to disconnect. And at a policy level, find instances whereby you may need the policy, implement certain policy to help your staff to disconnect better.
I think we have that in school. Our protected holidays is one of the ways in which we can disconnect. We just had a lengthy Christmas holiday.
5 weeks. Okay. Yeah. So I think at the school level, as in the systemic level, like you said, in terms of WhatsApp, that we introduced this policy this year that there is no need for you to reply to parents' messages after 6 p.m. Of course, you have to analyze it. Is this an emergency or not? If not an emergency case, then you can always put it to the next day. It's again back to that, finding that work-life balance. The school can do, have policies, have protected holidays, but then if you are not if you're not able to find that balance, it's not going to help. Like Mr. Ryan said, you can always talk to someone. I think there are more than one people in school here. You can voice out if you are facing burnout, you are facing any mental distress and all that. So please do that and approach someone that you trust. Yeah?
All right. We want to hear from everyone, from the teachers, whether that's academic staff or non-academic staff. So if you have a question, don't be shy to raise your hand, and then there will be someone who will pass the microphone to you and ask the questions directly to this panelist over here.
Miss Martha,
Yes.
can I just get them warm up to
Of
asking
course.
questions, right? Okay, you need to talk to someone for the next 30 seconds. Turn to a friend on your left and right. Just don't talk to yourself, okay? If you're seated alone, just talk to the one in front of you, right? Turn to someone and ask this simple question. What are you doing in the afternoon? Ask them, right? After this session, what are you doing in the afternoon? 30 seconds, ask that question now. If you're not talking, I pass you the mic.
So after they warm up, they can ask questions, right? There will be someone who can pass the microphone. I hope the microphone is ready.
I seen someone, Miss Liana, you're not asking anyone, what are you doing this afternoon? Someone help her, someone behind you quickly ask her that question. Otherwise, someone will pass you the mic. Okay, I pass the time to Miss Martha, right? So you're warm up asking question already, okay? Because the faster you ask the question, the faster you could do what you wanted to do this afternoon, okay? Okay, let's ask a question now. Come.
Do we have one,
Go for
Mr.
it.
Ryan? All right.
Okay. Mr. George, you're helping everyone to
Yes,
fulfill
I'm
what they
just
want to do
holding the
this
mic
afternoon.
and give it to someone. Okay, our very experienced panelist. I have one question for you. Anyone can answer this. We are talking about a while ago burnout, and it's a very good suggestion from Mr. Simon, the disconnection from whatever make us busy as a teacher or an administrator. So my question to all of us is, in which part of the day we have to practice it? Because being a teacher, we know that we don't want to neglect whatever responsibilities that we have, right? And then at the same time, we have our families or family at home. So which particular day we have to agree, because the school policy is, yes, 6 p.m. But then, of course, it depends on the situation. So which part of the day that is effective for us to disconnect? Maybe Mr. Simon can elaborate on that further. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, thanks. I've been thinking very hard about this connection, about burnout and engagement, and my take is this. You see, to minimize, because the definition and the whole experience of burnout occurs when you're prolonged chronic stressor. So I could spend a whole lecture on this, right? But let's talk about stressor only, right? So our disconnection is disconnection to the stressor. There are certain stressors that happen. We need to disconnect from those stressors because it gives us space to reset. But I remain connected to what I'm passionate about. For example, I'm passionate about research. I'm passionate about well-being. I'm passionate about human behaviors and how human behaviors, bring about organization outcomes, right? I realized that I never really stopped thinking about it. Every time when I go to the airport, if I have my space, I will look at how people interact and I will think, oh, why are service bad? How can we improve services? I will always be thinking about things that I'm very passionate about. And us as a teacher, I believe that if teaching is your passion, you will not really stop thinking about it. Because when you look at how people learn, or you go and interact, you do an activity with your family, you would think that, I could actually do this activity in my classroom to facilitate better learning. So I think we disconnect from our stressor so that we can connect better with what we are passionate about, okay? And the assumption that I'm making here is that you're passionate about teaching and learning, which is why you need to disconnect from stressor to be passionate about, to give yourself the space to connect with what you truly care about. And if we truly care about this piece of work, it is normal to keep thinking about it. Now, I go back to what is the best time to disconnect, right? From stressor. I think the best time to disconnect from stressor is two space. One is our own personal space. We need to disconnect from stressor when we need personal space for our own reflection and our own redesign. Because a lot of time we just don't give ourselves the space to reflect, we don't give our space to reset, and we need to disconnect that. And every one of us have a different timing. For me, it could be morning. I work best in the morning. Before I start, I want to do my meditation and I want to reflect and I want to think how I'm going to start my day. So for me, the disconnection need to be in the morning. I don't want to be connected with my stressor. But to some of you, your personal space could be better at night. It could be other times of the day. Every one of us is different. But the principle is to disconnect so that we have personal space. The other important space is family and loved ones and the commitment that we have to the people that makes up our life. So I think this connection should happen for us to do that piece of work better. So we have a different timing. Sometimes it could be morning for us. Sometimes it could be after work. Sometimes it could be just before our children go to bed. That is the quality time that we spend with them. You may have to find that your own time, but the general principle is that what are good times is the time that we want to make personal space for our own personal growth, and we want to make space to grow the people whom we love. That's my idea about.
Thank you, Mr. Simon.
But maybe you may have a better timing on when is the best time for you to disconnect.
For me, for time, actually, I just want to add this. Before I can say that I'm super lazy. I like to sleep in and just usually I just morning meditations. Maybe I just morning meditations. But now I just saw the study that actually exercise it will make our mood become better. So I tried that, and it was, and actually it is still. And so my disconnection is actually now how to improve my energy energy and how to improve my focus, everything, I add morning exercise, even only 1 minute if I have no time. Usually I do that. Even stretching can be morning exercise, and it will help me boost my mood whole day. That I think that is also, what do you call, and it's also better, maybe some idea for you to try to how to avoid burnout. Thank you. Yeah, morning exercise.
From my end, I think I disconnect after work. But here's the thing about that. I'll give you a glimpse of my day, how I go through my task. I usually wake up at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock to reflect and also to do the things that I need to do for the day that I have missed. And then straight already until 4. That's why how I wish, if I have a request or if I have a wish to the school, maybe it will be better from my end if we can find time to simplify systems. Because sometimes, I guess, if we can simplify some systems that we have, there will be more time for us, the teachers, to have more time reflecting also. Second, if the school would, if given the chance, just a sharing, if the school can implement the MAMI, minimum activity, maximum impact. I think it will also give the teachers more time to reflect, because I always believe that happy teachers can lead to happy kids, and happy kids, happy parents. So, yes.
Yeah. To your point, right? This brings back to why we are doing this. Because in order for us to improve system, and in order for us to have MAMI, we really need to reflect and redesign. Okay, and to your point, so now you have given the task to everyone, right? Because they have to reflect and redesign so that we can have better, more streamlined system, and we can have MAMI. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you want to know when I disconnect or what? No. Yeah, okay. Point taken, Mr. Joel. I think it's a suggestion, something that we can probably look at. It boils down also to our calendaring of events and activities, programs in the school, which is, I think we are still, we will strive to do better. Okay, we can't promise. We really have to see, because, yeah. For me, I have intermittent disconnection. The moment I get into the car, that ride home is when I really space out. It's like, okay, what happened today? And then I went through that in the car, be it 30 minutes, even if it's short. And then I have my Friday to weekend, Friday to Saturday, which I totally disconnect. And I reconnect again on Sunday just to prepare for Monday. Yeah, so, but it's a different thing if I go back home to Singapore. That is a total disconnection, because that's really my family is over there. So yeah, it depends on the situation for me. So I hope everyone also can try to find that time for you to disconnect. We can't tell you, oh, okay, 4 p.m., try to disconnect now, because it may not work, because you may still be thinking about so many things that you need to do or you have done or something. So that is something on your part that you have to try and find it. Mr. Joel, I hope you don't have to get up at 2, 3 a.m. to do reflection. I'm not sure how that is, helping with your sleep, because I also read that sleeping, I think I saw on your slide that having ample sleep is, it really helps to set the mood, your mental well-being as well. So like my husband, he has to have 8 hours of sleep. He gets very cranky if he doesn't get it. So I'm trying to learn from him. It's a bit hard because I don't go to bed as early, but yeah, it's still a learning journey for me in terms of trying to wind down a bit in the day. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, teachers. I think we can open up for one more question.
I just want to wrap up with an important point here about the disconnection part. You see, the idea about burnout, you can't just understand burnout without understanding engagement, right? And my short message about this is that, my short takeaway from this is this. So what I'm suggesting is that to disconnect from stressor, but we need to connect with what we are passionate about. Okay, and I never stop connecting with what I'm passionate about, right? And if for a lot of us, we really need to search deep within ourselves, the work that we do, is it something that we are passionate about? Because if the work that we do is not something that we are passionate about, and we keep thinking about we need to disconnect from the work that we do, it may not improve our work experience, and if we don't get a good work experience, our life experience will not be good. So, important message is disconnect from stressor, but connect with what we are passionate about, and work should be a big part of what we are passionate about, because that fires us up, that makes us a lot more engaged at work, and engagement at work leads to better outcomes in our lives. That's my point.
Thank you. One more and one last question.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, panelists. In the first part of the panel discussion, you discuss about feedback, and as a teacher or as an employee, we all know how important or how essential these feedbacks are. My question is, how can we utilize this feedback, vice versa, we as a teacher or for our students, if this feedback may lead to prejudice or preconceived judgment in the future? If the feedback that we are getting may lead to a preconceived judgment in the future, that we might be afraid to do these changes because of the prejudice.
Could you give more context to it? Like, yeah.
Like, for example, you might receive some negative feedback.
Okay.
So from maybe peers or others, okay? And again, this might also be applicable for us teachers to our students, that this feedback may develop preconceived judgment to our students, that this student is already like this, or maybe for us teachers that we are already like this. Okay? How can we utilize this feedback that we might think that it will develop to that?
Okay. If I got it right, I think it's delineating between positive or constructive feedback and being stereotypical in giving feedback later on. Like, you always go back to the student being part of this stereotype that the mistake is almost similar to the previous one.
Yeah. So I think in feedback there are two parts to it, right? One is the giver of a feedback, another is the receiver as a feedback. So I think there are certain expectations and strategies for as a giver. As a giver, I need to be able to give a feedback that is aimed to assist someone and is actionable for someone. So my intention has to be right, and I need to give specific feedback. But of course, there are also other strategies that you need to build in as a giver. As a receiver of the feedback, right? There are also certain strategies that you need to take, but a mindset, maybe what I try to understand from the question is that what happens if I receive a feedback and other people will continue to perceive me as such, even though I have changed? If that's the case, I'm not sure. I don't have a good answer for it. More importantly, I think it's for yourself. Have you changed for the better? And if you have changed for the better, right, and then stick with it. Because if you have changed for the better, and I think that's more important, and if you cannot be with this organization and you go to somewhere else, right? Because you have changed for the better, that skill set that you have continue to value add to your own career, whether here or somewhere else. That's how I see it. I'm very mindful that this may be the last question, but are there any questions from SNA? Because there are, can we pick up maybe just one question from SNA? I think it's so important that we also hear
We
some
need
of
help from the people at the back, to help check.
Yeah. Oh, they are on Zoom, right? No?
Yes, they are connected online.
Okay. If there are questions from SNA, just let us know, okay? We would really want to pick up the question. Okay. Can I like, is this the last question already? Are we managing the time? Is the last
Because
question?
there is a final question
Oh,
to all of you, actually. Yes, yeah.
And I
Go
think
ahead, Mr. Ryan.
Hello. I think to add on to Mr. Simon's answer is, as long as your feedback is guided on goal setting and limitations, you know what to follow, you know what are your target goals at the end of the day, and you're following a particular checklist, you know you're in check, and it's for the betterment of both the staff and the students, and it's objective. I think you should be on the safer side. But again, it's a tricky path to traverse. So please go with caution on that one.
So 1 hour clearly is not enough, but we just want to give you this one final question. So since our topic is about elevating our teaching excellence, and we want to have that commitment to always improve ourselves, because there's no such thing as stop learning something new. And what would be the final key message that you can share with us, educators, leaders in this room? Because Mr. Simon, you were talking about, this morning, building the good people, that in a hope that if we successfully build good people, eventually it will build good business. And so what would be the final key message that you can share in order for that to possibly happen in our environment as a school and a community?
Okay, maybe I will go first. This is maybe the thing that maybe I can share with to all of you, that to elevating the teachings, being adaptable with everything that happen, and also learning to the new things, and acceptance. Because by accepting something new, accepting something that is we never knew before, it will make us learning something, and then will make us grow. Thank you. Yeah, open-minded.
From my end, Miss, I think it's nice to have all the time childlike behavior, not childish, yeah, childlike behavior all the time. Kids, when you look at kids, that's why I love kids. When you look at kids, when they fall, they stand up, they might cry, but still continue with life. So it's a work in progress. They listen, okay? You're listening when you're telling a story, and they're putting it in the heart. So I think it's nice to have that childlike behavior all the time, to be like kids.
I think the key message is, to be excellent in teaching if you're going to pursue this career till you retire. I think we need to be open to the cycle of learn, unlearn, and relearn. If you're not open to that, there is very difficult to move from where you are right now, because you're going to be stuck with that same approaches, the same teaching methods, which you think it will be, that you might think it will work, 10 years on. I think in order for us to be excellent in what we do, we need to have that lifelong learning spirit in us. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Shireen and everyone else. And for me, right, what is one key message? Go and look for someone and ask that person to give you a feedback for your improvement. Usually when you give feedback, people will tell you, oh, what you're good at, and people will just want to tell you what you have been doing well, right? Just be open enough to ask someone, give me a feedback that I could do better. Okay, that's one recommendation. If you want to truly improve in terms of your own personal growth in your career, ask someone for a feedback that people think that you can't handle it. If someone there to give you that feedback and you are open enough to receive it, that will be a leap in your own personal growth. So for me, ask that feedback that people think that you can't handle it. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you all. Thank you all for joining us today. We'll see you in the next session. Let's give another round of applause for panelists for that fruitful sharing. I think one key takeaway here was that it was open, it was raw, it was truthful, and I hope we learned something and will bring something with us as we go home today and reflect on our teaching journey here at National High and improve ourselves in whatever we want to, aspects of our life and our teaching career that we want to improve on. And with this, we end our panel discussion. Let's give again our panelists another round of applause for being here with us. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Riconalia, and with me is
Miss Martha, and we also would like to say thank you to SNA and other participants at Zoom who are joining us online this afternoon. Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you, teachers, for joining us this afternoon. I will give the mic to Mr. Dexter. Okay.
Thank you everyone joining us online. Thank you SNA and all the other staff who join us online. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So again, good afternoon, everyone. We've reached the conclusion of this year's Learning Symposium. What an panel discussions we've had. Let's take a moment to thank again our incredible panelists, Mr. Simon and Ms. Shireen, plus two of our surprise guests, Mr. Joel and Ms. Kunti. Once again, please give them a big, big hand. And then, of course, this goes without saying that, the panel discussion was facilitated very well by Mr. Ryan and Ms. Martha. So a big thank you for the wonderful hosts that we have so that this dialogue will be so meaningful. So I would also like to extend my gratitude to all of you, our participants, for your attention, engagement, and thoughtful questions throughout the symposium. Your active participation has truly elevated the discussions and made this event a success. As we bring the symposium to a close, let us reflect on the key takeaways from today and consider how we can put them into action in our own classrooms and practices. That's the most important part of it. The next step is to take what we've learned, reflect on it, and redesign how we approach teaching and learning, not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of our students and peers. Before you go, can you kindly take 5 minutes to complete this feedback survey? For NHJS, I've given you as well the link via the WhatsApp group, or you can just go to this, you can scan this QR code here so that you can give us your vital feedback so that we can improve this event again if we're going to run it for second phase next school year. Okay, so with that, thank you so much. As soon as you are done, please you may leave. I'm very thankful for your participation. And with this, the Learning Symposium